What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for a little follow-up on yesterday's weekly update video. So if you watched the weekly update from yesterday, you'll know there's a big FCA meeting that was going on Friday, but I filmed those videos on Thursday, and so I wasn't able to include that info in the weekly update. But there's so much big news to go over here with this FCA meeting that I felt it was worth an actual new video, so that's why I'm posting this video here today. So this Fiat Chrysler meeting, it was called the Capital Markets Day investor meeting, and they basically laid out their entire 5-year plan for much of FCA brands. And so the most exciting news comes from Alfa Romeo first. So their first announcement was that they're making a new 8C supercar, completely different than the old 8C, of course, and it's going to have some details here that they gave were a carbon fiber monocoque chassis. It's going to have a twin turbo V6, most likely the Quadrifoglio one, but it's also going to be in a mid-engine setup here for the 8C. It's going to have an electrified front axle as well for all-wheel drive, and it's going to have over 700 horsepower combined, and so that's going to be very impressive. And because of all the hybrid tech in that, it's going to do 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. But that's not the craziest vehicle. There'll be some more that I'll be getting to here in a minute. But that is the second craziest one that they announced here. But that is going to be really, really sweet and an awesome new Halo model for Alfa. The next Alfa Romeo that was announced was the return of the GTV name. And so what that's going to pan out as is a little uncertain. It looks like a Giulia coupe that's really wild with wide fender flares there and, very aggressive front bumper. So again, that's just a sketch. It could get toned down a little bit, but basically, I don't know if all the coupe versions are going to be called the GTV or just this ultra high performance version. But basically, they're promising it's going to have 50-50 weight distribution, over 600 horsepower with an e-boost hybrid system. I think in addition to that Quadrifoglio, again, twin turbo V6 motor, all-wheel drive is going to be included as well as torque vectoring and 4-passenger seating here for this coupe. So think of it as a rival to the C63S, Audi RS5, all that type of stuff. And so yeah, that sounds pretty awesome as well. So cool to hear that. Some other Alfa news that they announced were that a compact and full-size SUVs are going to be coming to round out the crossover offerings within Alfa, to go alongside the Stelvio, which is the middle one in this new 3 SUV plan that they have here. And they're also saying a long wheelbase version of the Giulia will be coming for China, which makes a lot of sense. Also, they said that all Alfa Romeos will have some type of electrification, including 6 plug-in hybrids with over 30 miles of electric range. And so that electrification will be coming in over the next few years, and all the models will have it by 2022. That's the plan. All Fiat Chrysler vehicles basically will have some form of electrification in one way or another by 2022 in most models. There'll be some that I'll be getting to here that won't get some type of electrification, at least not for now, or at least not for these next 5 years. But yeah, it certainly looks like that electrification is definitely the future here for FCA. Anyway, speaking of electrification, Maserati detailed their plans and lots of electric stuff in that. They first announced the Alfieri is still coming. They showed a concept several years ago. That will be out by 2022, probably a little earlier, including a Cabrio convertible version as well. And there's going to be a full EV version of this, as well as a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid version. So those hybrid versions, will still have some type of gasoline engine, so they'll still sound really good, but there will be a full EV version, which sounds like it'll be the craziest version. But anyway, all these powertrains, all these EV powertrains for these Maseratis at least, will be supplied by Ferrari, they said. So sounds like they'll be very impressive, and also hints that Ferrari will be getting lots of electrified stuff as well, although Ferrari wasn't included in this meeting. But anyway, getting back to this EV version of the Alfieri, they're saying it's going to do 0 to 60 in roughly 2 seconds. Crazy. And they didn't really give any other details for that aside from that it'll be all-wheel drive as well to, have those electric motors and all that kind of stuff on both axles. But the full EV cars will be under the Maserati Blue name is what they're calling it, and the entire Maserati range will have some type of electrification again by 2022 is the goal. And again, these are all just goals. All this stuff is not set in stone. They had one of these 5-year meetings 5 years ago, and many of these things came true, and several of them haven't come true yet, so they kind of got behind on some of the projects or whatever. So, again, this isn't a hard and fast 2022 for all this stuff. stuff, it's not a definite. Some of this stuff could come later or not at all. This is just what they're shooting towards right now. Anyway, so in addition to the EV version of the Alfieri and Cabrio Alfieri, they're also going to have full EV versions of the Quattroporte and Levante coming, and all those EVs would have a modular lightweight aluminum platform that they all share, and they're going to all have 3 motors for all-wheel drive, torque vectoring, and 800-volt batteries for good range and faster charging than before. They're also planning to launch a new mid-sized SUV that will also have 50/50 weight distribution, and will also include a Trofeo version of that as well. And they showed a little teaser image of that there. You can't see too much, but should be in line with what we see in the Levante, just kind of shrunken down a little bit. Speaking of the Levante, there's going to be an all-new version of that and of the Quattroporte, and it looks, based on the roadmap there, that the Ghibli will stick around with just another refresh by 2022, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out again, because the Ghibli's already a little dated, so we'll have to see if it can last another 5 years. I highly doubt it. Anyway, so that's basically all the Maserati plans. Next is Ram's plans, which is a little bit briefer, but basically they're going to be doing a production version of the T-Rex, TRX as it's spelled there, by 2022, and it'll be based on the all-new Ram. So the T-Rex concept was based on the previous gen Ram here, and they didn't give any details for this new T-Rex version. But, the previous concept had a Hellcat V8 that was detuned for, I think, like 575 horsepower. So hopefully we get some type of Hellcat power for this new version. We'll have to see. But it's good to see that they're going to at least produce that, and that, again, is coming by 2022. Hopefully a little sooner, but, we'll have to see. They're also planning a new Ram heavy-duty truck by 2022, and also a new mid-size truck by then, too, although there weren't any kind of details given on that. But that'll be great to kind of join the new Ranger and the Colorado and, all the others out there. So anyway, that's cool to hear for Ram. Jeep's plans include a new Desert Hawk model at like a trim level they're going to have across the entire Jeep range, or at least much of the Jeep range there. They also showed a teaser for the Cherokee version of that to kind of give you guys an idea of what that's going to look like. They're also planning to bring back the Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer names, so that's definitely a certainty now. And they're also going to be introducing an all-new Cherokee, an all-new Grand Cherokee, Renegade, and the Scrambler pickup that's based on the Wrangler. And there's also going to be electrified versions of all of these by 2021, including 8 plug-in hybrids for North America. So again, everything getting electrified. They're also planning, I believe, a full-size Maserati SUV, but I think they said that one might not get any kind of electrification, at least not, in the next 5 years. But anyway, interesting to hear all that. But those were the only brands we were given any specifics about. So there's a few other things here that kind of were reported. According to Road and Track, they talked apparently to FCA's CEO, Sergio, and he said that a new Dodge Viper is not in the plan for Dodge. And this is kind of an interesting thing, because everyone's saying, well, they laid out their whole 5-year plan, so if it was in the plan, they would have said so. But they didn't give any plans for Dodge at this event. They kind of, I guess Road and Track and Auto Guide spoke with them, and they're saying a few things about the Charger and the Challenger, but there wasn't any kind of actual presentation given on Dodge. So I feel like they're not telling us anything about Dodge. So anything that they say, it could be left up to interpretation or just discounted altogether. So Car and Driver said they are totally sure a new Viper is happening. I feel like Car and Driver wouldn't say something like that if they didn't have a good reason to. I don't think they just blatantly lie. So I tend to believe them. I think it still is very likely that something's going to come. Maybe they will change and it won't be called a Viper. Like there was the All-Par rumors that it was going to be called something else, maybe Barracuda or something like that. So that's still possible, maybe, but I still think it's likely there could be a new Viper. Anyway, these other plans for this Dodge brand is that the CEO did confirm, at least according to Auto Guide, that a next-gen Charger and Challenger are coming, but they'll still use the LX platform, but that it will be heavily revised, and he promised that the platform will be barely recognizable. So, yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, to me, a platform isn't all that important. Like, yes, you want to have a good platform and stuff, but I think you can do a lot to modify a platform to make it better. And just because it's based on an ancient platform, they've made so many improvements. I mean, the Hellcats, with the wide body version actually do handle very well. And if they're going to, really revamp it heavily to make it lighter and, better performing, I don't see any reason why that should hold back the new Challenger and Charger. And I'm just happy they're continuing on with those models. That's really great to hear. And so I'm happy, even though it's not going to be based on some Alfa Romeo or something, I think it's kind of cool to give it that old school feel anyway with the old platform. So anyway, cool to hear that. They also said that Fiat and Chrysler will not be killed off. Yesterday I reported there were some rumors that Chrysler or Fiat or both could be potentially killed off, at least here in the States. But they didn't give any specifics on Chrysler or Fiat either, really. So, that is still all kind of up in the air. I mean, they said that it's completely false that they'll be killed off completely. But that means that maybe there's still a possibility they could be phased out of the U.S., at least Fiat, and that Chrysler. They did announce that Chrysler is going to be a North American-only brand from now on, and they're going to phase it out of wherever else it's sold. And they also said that Fiat is going to have a new EV city car, but they didn't give any other specifics about the entire other Fiat range. So that's, again, all up in the air. Just that there's probably going to all get electrified stuff and all that. But yeah. So, I mean, I think it's still totally possible that they could pull Fiat out of the States eventually. It's just a matter of, when, but, maybe they'll keep them around and totally revamp it, with a ton of EV cars or making a completely EV brand possibly. We'll have to see. But anyway, so that's all they really said about, there's no news about Chrysler having any kind of new stuff, sadly. So who knows? That's still all possible. They just didn't say anything at this meeting. The last little bit of interesting news at this meeting was FCA revealed their ambitious autonomous car plans and their autonomous tech that they want to include in most of all these vehicles that I talked about. They said the plan is to have at least level 2 plus and level 3 autonomous vehicles available by somewhere between 2019 and 2021, and that they want to have level 4 autonomous cars on sale by 2023. And as you can see from that diagram there, that's a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And as you can see at the bottom, the cost balloons the more autonomous it gets. So, I mean, level 4 is like basically fully autonomous aside from, in limited circumstances. So basically in places where there's, well-marked lanes and where there's a, pretty good infrastructure, it's going to be completely autonomous. And they want to do that in the next 5 years. Again, this is where, I'm reiterating that they said, this is what they're shooting for. Not all these things come to, be true, but in the timeline that they say. And this is certainly true, I think, of these plans for these autonomous cars. There is no way to go from level 3 to level 4. That's a huge leap, and to do that leap in roughly 2 years or 3 years, depending on when they would get out the level 3 autonomous stuff. And level 3 is already really tough too. Level 3 is basically completely driverless, but you have to maintain attention, and you still have to make sure you can take over, whereas you can actually turn your mind off, they say, with a level 4 and not even pay attention, which means take a nap, whatever. So that's pretty crazy, and again, does not seem very likely. They did say that in order to achieve this, they want to partner with Waymo, BMW, and some others there to help develop this stuff at a more affordable cost, by partnering up. Interesting to partner with BMW there, especially. And so we'll have to see, again, what happens over the next 5 years, but I think it is highly unlikely that they'll get to level 4, level 3 maybe by 2023, but yeah, I don't think level 4. Anyway, they want to offer that on all their products eventually. I think they said Alpha would be relegated to level 2 and level 3 autonomy, not the level 4 stuff. I think that'd be reserved for like Maserati, maybe a couple of the other higher brands, stuff like that. But yeah, we'll have to see how all that pans out. But that's it for as far as all of FCA's revealed plans here for the next 5 years. So let me know your thoughts about everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.